Welcome to the channel and welcome to a Banter in the Box Behind the Laughter special, episode 9 of season 26. No updates this week because we are in the midst of an international break, so I thought that we would have the first Behind the Laughter of the season. That's where we get, for those of you that haven't seen Behind the Laughters before, did a couple last season, did one the season before last, it's where we get a little bit serious. Obviously Banter in the Box is all about fun, but the Behind the Laughters is where, as the name suggests, we go behind the laughter and I give you a bit of a backstory about one of our family fantasy football league managers. So we'll be covering that in this video. I'll also be sharing the latest manager of the season table and revealing the answers to last week's quiz question. Lots of people had a go at that. And I will also be setting this week's quiz question. But with no further ado, we will go behind the laughter. Now, last week I asked you to vote on who you wanted me to cover on the first Behind the Laughter of the season. And receiving 100% of the votes, and by that I mean only one person voted, we are going to go behind the laughter of Ostrich Bar Stewards manager Steve Maloney, my good mate. Steve Maloney was born in Ireland during the potato famine of 1930. At school, he was great chums with Louis Walsh, who later went on to manage boy band Westlife. Times were hard in Ireland during the potato famine, and when Steve's parents left his sleeping brother Jimmy with a group of monkeys, Steve knew it was time to get away. So at 14, he left school and ran away to England. But Steve found it hard to settle in England, so he travelled to Vietnam, where he enlisted in the North Korean army, where he fought against the American invaders. However, Steve was captured by the Americans, who gave him two choices: spend the rest of his life doing hard labour, working in the sewers covered in shit, or join the CIA as a spy. Now, while Steve was genuinely tempted with life working in sewers covered in shit, he opted to become a spy for the CIA, and he quickly established himself as a master of disguise during his career as a spy. Steve left the CIA in the late 70s, but he found civilian life tough. He had an unsuccessful stint as Sam Jones' body double in the 1980 cult classic Flash Gordon. He then got a seasonal job as a Santa's elf, but they said that they wouldn't hire him back the next year, before a chance meeting with his old chum Louis Walsh led him to launch a brief rap career as MC Wrong'un. His debut single about his favourite beverage, Dickens Cider, bombed, charting at number 69. His music career was over. So Steve turned his attention to management, convincing his twin boys, Chris and Martin, to launch their own band, Coldplay. The rest, as they say, is history. However, following them being sued by another band at the time, Bros, for breach of copyright, Coldplay disbanded. Steve, however, had made plenty of money from his career as a music mogul, but what he really wanted was to find love. So he joined dating agency Plenty of Fish. But unsuccessfully sued them for false advertising when he didn't get a bite for 3 months. So he decided instead that he would buy himself a bride. He signed up to an agency that specialised in providing young women from deprived areas of the world. And when he saw this photo, he selected Betty Swallows from Thailand, who's pictured on the right. But in a disappointing mix-up, they instead sent him Di from Dagenham, pictured on the left. But Di eventually grew on Steve, and after marrying, Steve helped Di launch her erotic massage business, No Happy Endings, in 2001, with Di's good friend Joe. Di specialised in the massages with no happy ending. Joe specialised in dealing with the punters who had hairy foot fetish. However, the unique selling point did not float well with the punters. Not enough of them wanted an erotic massage with no happy endings, and not enough of them had a hairy foot fetish. So the business folded in 2002. But just so Steve's wife Di didn't get too down, Steve immediately invented something called furlough and put Di on furlough, where she remains to this day. Steve is now a successful member of Thames Waterworks, where he spends his life down in the sewers, covered in shit, happy as Larry, and that is behind the laughter of Ostrich Bar Stewards manager Steve Maloney. Now, last week's quiz question was a complicated one. Dominic Calvert-Lewin recently scored consecutive home hat-tricks for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. The previous player to score consecutive home hat-tricks whilst playing for Carlo Ancelotti was Cristiano Ronaldo. The question is, what links the consecutive home hat-tricks of Calvert-Lewin and Ronaldo? Lots of managers had a go at this. Lyndon's Lovely's manager, Jo Hoxby, cheated a little bit because she had 2 guesses, although they were both wrong. Her first guess was that what linked Dominic Calvert-Lewin's consecutive home hat-tricks with Cristiano Ronaldo's consecutive home hat-tricks was, and I kid you not, this was the answer Joe submitted, is the link that they both scored consecutive home hat-tricks. That is in the question, so that obviously wouldn't be the answer. Joe's other guess was, did they both do knee slides to celebrate their hat-trick? Wrong answer. The correct answer, which was successfully submitted by Benny United manager Mark Benwell, Hatch United manager Neil Hatch, and the Creed Bratton Society's Jordan Williams, was that the link was James Rodriguez played in all 4 of those matches. The 2 matches where Cristiano Ronaldo scored consecutive home hat-tricks, James Rodriguez was playing for Real Madrid at the time. And in the 2 matches recently where Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored consecutive home hat-tricks, James Rodriguez was playing for Everton. So well done to all of you that got it right, and this means that is the current manager of the season's table. The highlighted managers are the managers that got a point, and even though Joe got the last week's quiz question wrong, I gave her a point for being the only manager to vote in who you wanted to appear in Behind the Laughter, and obviously Joe voted for Steve Maloney. So it's Neil Hatch still leading the way with 7 points, closely followed by the current manager of the season, Mark Benwell, on 6 points, and Lee Poulter still there in 3rd place on 5 points. Jordan Williams goes up to joint 4th on 4 points, and Joe Hoxby goes up to joint 6th on 3 points. And for your chance to get a manager of the season point this week, we're back to who the fuck is that? You just have to tell me which Family Fantasy Football League manager appears in that photo. It is a current Family Fantasy Football League manager. You can only have one guess per week, 1 point for the manager that correctly identifies which Family Fantasy Football League manager that is. Okay, that's it for this week. I will be back next week or next weekend with the Game Week 5 review. Until then, goodbye.